just going to share some of the things that I heard at the coaching event that I was at a week ago. This was, well, I guess it's been 2 weeks because then the following week was Costa Rica. But one of the things that I heard was the suggestion that was made that, so we have all these people in our database that have closed loans at these low rates in the last 2020 and 2021. And obviously there's not a lot to talk to them about. And one of the ideas that was presented that I thought was, I think this is a great idea is, and the way they suggested it. So this is, I'm going to tell you what they said, and then I'll tell you what I think you should do. But they said that, like, get with your agents on all of these loans that these people closed, the people that bought homes, and even the people that they did loans with, or that they, maybe you refinanced them. And it was, a couple of years after they were already in the home. So they could be in the home 4 or 5 years now. And just have that check. You start the call off with, hey, I just wanted to say I wanted to congratulate you on having such a great interest rate, because, you know where the rates are at now. It's awesome that you got the rate that you have. And of course, they're going to agree with you, right? They're going to say, yeah, I'm really glad I have it too. And, chit chat, how you doing, whatever, just, solidify the relationship. And then this is where there's an opportunity. Just say, well, just out of curiosity, I know for me, this is the script. I know for me, I love my house, but there are a few things that I would change if I could. And so I guess my question is, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you change about your house? And just listen to them, because everybody has something, right? I love my house, and there's like 4 things I would love to change. And I love my house. And so,
can I say something really quick on that?
Huh?
Can I say something really quick about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you guys remember 2020 and 21, people are waiving inspections. So I was doing some brainstorming with a realtor and thinking, like, trying to find out people like that have having kids, or like, are in that move up stage that maybe bought 2 to 5 years ago, right? And one of the things we thought of was, like, people were buying homes without doing inspections. So they might not like that house anymore, even though I have a 3% rate, 3.5% rate. So
great point.
Kind of,
so the end of that,
those people.
That's a great one. So this ties right in. So the question is that you ask them, well, once they tell you what they would change, you say, well, why don't we do this just for fun? I know you're not moving, but just for fun, why don't we have your real estate agent set up a new search for you, just to see, maybe you see something that you really like and that you'd consider. And, like, no harm to look, right? Like, you're just looking, and you don't even have to do anything. You just get an email every now and then that, like, hey, here's something. And just, who knows, you might get something. So I think that you shouldn't involve the realtor with it. In my opinion, I would make the call myself and then call the realtor and go, like, hey, just so you know, I've been talking to so-and-so, and they want you to set them up on a search. That would go a long way for the realtor. They would be like, oh my God, I can't believe that. I thought they love their house. They do. They just have these 3 things they change. So they want to set up a search, give them a call. So you just, like, there's a lot of opportunity here, because now you get somebody thinking rates aren't going to stay where they're at. We've already started to see the pullback here. So I don't believe that they're going to climb again. I really don't believe that. I think that if you listen to everything that Barry's in those videos that I sent out, I do think that. So I just thought that was a really cool idea. Like, I thought, man, that's a really great idea. And if you, for those of you that are ninja selling people, you'll know that is one of the questions that they train real estate agents to ask people that are homeowners. And they ask that question. Larry Kendall tells a story about asking his wife that question once, and they ended up moving and buying a house on a lake. And they thought they were in the home they were going to be in for the rest of their lives. So just a cool way to, like, first of all, make a connection with your clients that have rates that you think there's no reason for you to call them. And then, and Chris, you bring up an excellent, I didn't even think about that, is like, people bought the houses, they didn't do the inspections, and they're like, yeah, it's okay. And even though they have a 3 or 3.5% interest rate, not everybody, just to be clear, not everybody got 2 3/4 or 2.5. Okay. That was a window. It wasn't the whole fucking 2 years. Okay. So, so there's an opportunity. The other thing that was talked about, and I don't know how viable this is, I was talking to John about it a little bit, that we've run into these really competitive credit union ARM rates on some loans. And so Tim Brahim, who is the head of this coaching program, wrote a book once, and I don't think you can buy it anymore, but something, I can't remember exactly what it's called. I'll find out what it was. And maybe you can find a copy, but some people have copies of this book, and he wrote Strategic Selling for Mortgage Professionals, or just different scripting and different things that he'd come up with over the years, because Tim's approach to mortgage business and sales is if you always, Chris Haber gets this, right? If you always focus on improving your conversion ratio, you don't necessarily have to work harder. You just have to get better at converting your leads, right? So instead of, I need more leads, it's like, well, why don't you convert more of the leads you're already getting, right? And so then it requires you to identify, well, why am I losing leads? Where did I lose them? What was the point about it? And so you can't always beat the other rates and the other programs that are out there, but so are you going to give up? Are you just going to throw in the towel and say, well, I can't do this anymore? So what the solution was to sell against the credit union arm by talking about your 2-1 buy down without calling it. It was like, well, I have a 2-year arm that's got a 1% a year cap and a 2% lifetime cap. So let's talk about the arm. What's the cap on the first adjustment going to be? And it's probably 5, right? A 5% increase is the cap. And I don't know if it's going to do that. I don't think it's going to do that, but it could do that. We're not sure what's going to happen at the end of the day. We believe that interest rates are going to come down. That's our belief. We don't know if we're right. And what if they don't? And you've got an arm and it's going to adjust. And that first adjustment, if there's a 5% adjustment opportunity, and here's what's not going to happen. And this was part of the scripting. Those credit unions do not want their loan officers calling their customers that already have loans with them to refinance when the opportunity to get better exists. And they don't, because credit unions do not want those. They don't want those loans churning, right? They want to keep them on the books as long as they possibly can. So it's just a different way. So it's a 2-year arm with a 1% a year cap and whatever your 2-1 buy down, and just explain it that way. Let me show you how it works. You may not get it, but at least you're having an opportunity. What if you do? Well, don't just give up. Don't just throw in the towel. Just say, well, let me show you the disadvantages of a 5-year arm. The thing about this business, and I think Dennis can back me up, and people that have been in this a long time, Jacqueline, Chris, John, is that you can always sell against somebody else's advantage. There's always a way to sell against somebody else's advantage. You just have to think about what it is. If I was a broker today, I could sell against what I believe is a much better model, this model that we operate in. And I'm in this model, I can sell against that model every time. You just have to know okay, so what makes you different? What makes what they offer not a good opportunity? And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. And of course, the other thing that you would sell that customer is on the idea of and I have a no lender fee, no appraisal fee refinance opportunity waiting for you. The credit union doesn't do that either. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to just throw in the towels like, oh, they're talking to a credit union. I got nothing. Like, oh, well, tell me what the terms on that arm are. Like, what's the cap? What are what's the cap and because it's probably, if they're starting off at 5 7/8, the cap is the first adjustment could be 10 7/8, 10 7/8. Right? If the rates have gone that way, they're not going to be able to refinance into a lower fixed rate program. So just something to think about. I really like that idea. The last thing I'm going to share is, I've talked about this a little bit with some of you. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to send out a presentation. There's an audio presentation. So it's an audio with a PowerPoint, and then there's another example of this. But this is a guy by the name of Jay Dacey, and he's in Minnesota. And actually, I think he's a broker. And I'm going to try to share my screen. Give me a second. He does all of these. I'm going to hide this first. Let me hide this for a second. He does his presentation is called Old School Marketing, and everything is pretty low tech. Like when you see how he does this, and when you see the presentation, the PowerPoint, what impressed me most about what he's doing is this newsletter program that he does, and he's mailing newsletters to his clients, and he does it every single month. And let me see if I resume the share. He does it every single month, and This is what the newsletter looks like. So you guys can see my screen again. This is the newsletter. It's on a Word doc, right? See these doodles? See that? The little, see the rainbow and the clover. This is St. Patrick's Day. And down here, this yet. He hand draws that. He hand draws it. And his clients think his kids are doing it. That's the feedback that he gets. Like, oh, I just think it's so cool that your kids do that. And this is the extent of it. And so you're going to listen to the presentation. And what he talks about is he follows his Warren Buffett's advice. When Warren Buffett writes the annual shareholder letter, he writes it like he's writing it to his sister. And so Jay decided, you know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write these newsletters like I'm writing a note to my sister. Because if we slick this up, if we commercialize this, if we try to make this, if we overproduce this, and I would agree with this, if we overproduce it, we have an opportunity to have this become something the client opens and throws in the trash. And what I want him to do is read it. What you want him to do is read it. And you're going to listen to this audio presentation, and he's going to talk through like how he writes it. And he starts off with the Word doc at the beginning of the month. He saves it on his desktop. And then whatever ideas come to his mind during the month, he'll just type in a great client is like a four-leaf clover, hard to find and lucky to have. You could actually copy this guy's freaking newsletter and mail it out for March next year. You could, I mean, it would be so simple. He tries to include, like he does this. One of my favorite motivational videos on YouTube is Steve Jobs Just Ask. And he would make a call whenever he needed anything. And he goes, here, just Google it, right? And then he says, let me know. And then he sent out a scratch ticket. This is the month where he does this. He'll send a scratch ticket to everybody in his database. And that could cost a little bit of money, but you know, he's got 800, he's mailing over 800 people. So that particular month, he'd spend $800. But he mails everybody a scratch ticket and then let me know if you went on the scratch. I'll take everything to the right of the decimal point. Aha, best of luck. And then he signs it. So he prints one in color like this. He does the doodles in color. And then he uses color copiers and he uses a handwriting font for the envelope. Let me stop this share. I'm going to show you the ROI on this. Because the ROI is what just blew me away. I was like going, you got to be kidding me on this. It is, the return is phenomenal. Hang on a second. Let me get to this. Sorry for the delay. I got to do I was the facilitator of the presentation. So you'll hear me on the audio when you listen to it. It's about, I guess it went about 40 minutes. Let me go to share here. The reason I like this idea more than anything else is because the saying that I've used before, that you've heard, and I got this from Tim Brahim, the loan officer with the most friends wins. So he goes through his whole thing, but this is the, let me see if I can, monthly mailer, 100+ months in a row. I don't know if you can see this if it's too small, sorry. 100 months in a row. He's got at least a 1% response consistency, meaning 1% loan. Like, so if he mails out 100, he gets a loan. If he mails out 200, he gets 2 loans. If 300, 3 loans, he's at 800. He talks about, he shares a story about one year he decided he didn't know what he was going to do. And he decided to invite everybody that he mailed the newsletter to. And this was when it was at like 600 to his house for a chili party. Like, yeah, I'm just going to invite him. His wife's like, do you think a lot of people come? He's like, I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people come. Well, nobody came, right? Literally nobody came, but he got like 10 leads that month from people who was like, I can't believe you invited me to your house for a chili party. That is the nicest thing. My brother needs a mortgage. Call him. I just thought, like, that's so funny. That's exactly. So think about this. The loan officer with the most friends wins. And what we've taught you since the day you started here was building relationships. We're a relationship-based, purchase-focused mortgage company. Relationship-based is the critical part there, is that because when you build these relationships and you mail out a newsletter like this every single week or every single month, it's 12 times a year. yeah, it's going to take a little bit of work and effort on your part. Here's the economics of it. If he doesn't insert, because he's got a logo, he did his own little branded thing, something like what Jacqueline has done, or Giuseppe, like you see that stuff. Optional inserts $1. The piece of paper's a nickel. Printing two-sided in color costs 16 cents. The stamp is 60 and the envelope is a penny. So the cost per piece is $1.82. So, and his quote is, we should break even every month if we mail. He goes, I just don't ever want to lose money doing it. I want to break even at least every month. So this past month, he did 775 mailers. I thought it was 800. With a 1% yield equals 7 closed loans at $6,000 a loan, $42,000 in revenue from $1,400 in marketing. I don't know. That's pretty good fucking ROI. And so his best month was November of 20. 520 mailers was an 8% yield, 41 closed loans, $5,000, $205,000 with $946 in marketing expense. And so he looked at it one day, and this is the really big deal out here. Every stamp envelope was worth $400 when you do the math. When he looks at the box of envelopes, that's how he ended the presentation. He goes, when I look at the box of envelopes and I buy the box, he goes, I look, every envelope in here is worth $400. Think about that. Now, if you're going to do it, I wouldn't slick it up. I wouldn't get logos on it. I wouldn't do any of that stuff. I would just this is my newsletter. I would not mess with this formula. It just seems to work so well. And I asked him after the presentation was over. I went over to him because I've gotten to know him now because we did some work on the presentation together. And I go, are you getting 1% right now? And he goes, last month I got 1%. Yeah, it's still holding up. And with 770, if he didn't get 1%, but he got 5 loans in this market, I'd be pretty happy, wouldn't you? I would. I asked him also, are you only mailing to closed clients? And he said, no, I also mail to people that got into my database. They came to me as leads and we didn't do a loan. I mail to them. I also mail to real estate agents who've done a loan with me, but I don't mail to realtors who I haven't done a loan with. So it's only those folks. So this was after the recording was over because I was just asking him more questions about what he did. And so I'm going to email you the PowerPoint. I'm going to email you there's about 7 or 8 newsletters there. Literally, you could fucking copy it word for word. And you could do your own edits. The beauty of this is that yours is yours. And yours is going to your database. It's not going to anybody else's database. And it isn't a copy of what anybody else is doing because it's so unique because your database is unique to you. And that's the power of this. You want to have an annuity. Just imagine what this could look like 10 years from now for you. And so simple and so inexpensive for you to do. So, man, I love this idea. I was so excited about it. And so after they did the, and you'll see the whole rest of all the old school marketing stuff that he does. It's really basic stuff. Nothing whiz bang. It's not all this social media stuff or anything else like that. It's really just really basic things. And he goes, yeah, I just like it simple. It's easy. It's easier to do simple things. And, but he, I can't remember what I was going with this. Anyway, you had to do all the facilitators. So we do these breakout sessions where there's like a half a dozen breakouts going at the same time. You have to sign up to do them. And so, but then they record them all. And so then they share them. And, I just stood up and I just said, I go, you don't need to watch anybody else's presentation. Watch Jay Dacey's presentation because it's brilliant. And it wouldn't matter where you were doing it because the whole loan officer with the most friends wins is at play here at such a big level because it's you and your clients. And it's a one-on-one relationship. He had an old lady, that's back to the little doodles. An old lady called him who he did a loan for like 12 years ago. And she's not going to ever do another loan. And she's like, I just love that you send me those newsletters I just love those drawings that your kids do on your newsletter. I just think that's so sweet. And I just love looking at it. I didn't have any kids of my own. Just think of that kind of a relationship, right? Think about the value of building a relationship with your database like that. So I'll get all of this out to you. You can listen to the audio presentation and the PowerPoint and the example of the mailers. And I think you should do this. I would highly recommend, I just would highly recommend this. And so take a look. Let me know what you think. Does anybody have anything else? Any questions about this? All right. We're at 30 loan applications for the month right now. Today is the 18th. So 17 calendar days into the month. We're at 30 applications. We had 35 all of last month. So great job. I think all of you know that we did some staff reductions and some, everybody from management on down is 20% fewer hours. So that's a 20% pay cut for those folks. And we just have to be, I mean, and we're so much better shape than everybody. I promise that we're operating at a much different level than everybody else, but we still have to deal with the reality of doing that few of loans. People are, I tell you this because I want you to appreciate how much people are counting on all of us to get business in here. And I know that you guys like the team that we have a lot, and I love them. And I hate that we've had to do this. I never thought I would. It's a weird time in this business, but there is so much consolidation coming. You're going to hear about more and more big name companies just leaving and getting out of the business and imploding. And it's going to be ugly. So I just really appreciate the fact that we run the business the way that we do, that we have the cash that we do, and that we have as strong a balance sheet as we do. But we got to get to profitability, and we can't do it just cutting costs. That means more production from you guys. And I know you're working hard. To see the numbers up at 30 applications considered, as opposed to 35 all of last month, says a lot. So thank you for that, and keep it up, and let me know what you need, what I can do to help. And all the things that I'm sharing with you guys on a daily or weekly basis, the follow-up from the Renee event, using these tools, getting your realtors to share the list of people who they've talked to that haven't talked to a lender or haven't gotten pre-approved that is the grunt work that we need to do to get business coming in. And it will work. You will find people that have opportunities. And look at what happened with Alfonso, making a call to a realtor, getting an appointment, and I actually do have a deal that's crashing. And so there you go. That's another deal. It's that kind of work that is going to make all the difference. So I appreciate everybody. Let's have an awesome Thanksgiving. And thanks for your time today. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Oh, shit.
Go ahead. What?
I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but I have clients that it's great, but I'm getting contracts without people being approved. So this used to happen a lot because I think realtors are like, oh, I don't have any business. I better show these people this home and blah, blah, blah. And then lo and behold, they go under contract. So some of you new guys, it's no fun doing that because shit always happens and it's super stressful. So just make sure you call your realtors and be like, do not show people homes without a full pre-approval.
Well, maybe the story is, Chris, hey, just so you know, I'm getting contracts right now from realtors that I've worked with. They didn't get them pre-approved. This becomes a lot harder to do. So are you showing houses to anybody right now that I haven't spoken to? Let me talk to them. Please let me talk to them. And let's make sure that we're having a much better, and I can probably help you get them qualified for a higher amount than what you think.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity there as well. That's a great point. Thank you.
I had a client buying a second home right now, past client. He's like, oh yeah, I got a new job, making more money. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Already under contract. Already looked at the house. I'm like, all right. Found out he's contract. He just got a new job, but he's 1099. He's like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. Well, it is. So I had to struggle yesterday putting his dad on the loan. So it was nice in 2020 and 21 because realtors were it was so busy. You couldn't even go to an open house without showing a pre-approval letter, right? Now it's switched the other way. Realtors are, buyers are like, oh, I'm just going to go look. And, and because it's slower and you don't have to be on the spot and close in 2 weeks. So just be careful because it's probably why Alfonso got that deal too, is because the other lender, the realtor probably showed the home without being pre-approved. Probably.
Yeah. I don't know.
Careful.
So that's a good point. Anybody else seeing anything right now that you could share that would be helpful? Okay. We good? Thanks, Chris. That was a good advice. Thank you. All right, everybody, let's have an awesome Friday, and I'll see you on the conference call at noon. Thanks, everyone.